Yeah, they tune in, it's the Dude Bash, rolling deep. Mic check like that, fine, let's hit a beat. Voices flowing like the river, knowledge on the spree. Every episode and journey, come ride with me. Just hit play, it's a vibe, can't you see? The Dude Bash, we breaking it down. From the underground to the top of the town. Life's effects, intertwined, wearing the crown. Podcast kings and queens, we wearing the gown.
Tonight on the Do Bash, we're talking consoles. So everybody get ready for this. Corky, what's your favorite console?
Favorite console of all time? Let me think about it for a minute. It's going to have to be PlayStation 2.
That's
what
mine.
Y'all think?
That's mine. All day.
And I'll
5 because the graphics are so much better.
Man, I tell you what, I just finished playing Hogwarts Legacy. And regardless of what you think about Harry Potter, that is a beautiful game. The graphics on that is awesome.
Yeah,
I meant to download that, and I still haven't done that.
You're missing out, man. That's an awesome game.
I think my favorite console probably is going to be the Super Nintendo, because when that thing first came out, I mean, you got so used to playing damn Nintendo for so long with the 8-bit graphics, and then when you jumped up to 16, and I remember playing Mario World with, and that was the first one with Yoshi, I was like, damn, this thing is like, I never seen anything like it. I fell in love with it, and I love the Super Nintendo console, especially when Castlevania 4 came out on it.
That's probably my favorite game on That's Castlevania 4 on the Super Nintendo. I don't know, they got more power out of that game or whatever with what they could do graphics wise and whatnot. And that, I had never seen anything like it with the background. All that was going on with that stuff. Like you got into that level 4 where the rooms started rotating.
Yeah.
And then you're sitting there and you're jumping along. Right after that, you're jumping along them things that starts disappearing on you. But the background is like it's like it's spinning in behind you. It messes you up just trying to look at it. But I had never seen a video game system that had put that kind of stuff out. Now, I mean, I didn't play a whole lot of Sega Genesis either, and they might have been doing that too. I don't know.
That's what
that's good stuff. Castlevania 4 was. Dusty, weigh in on this, man. What do you think?
Probably for me, my personal favorite, just for sentimental reasons, was the original Nintendo. The original NES, only because really that was kind of how my dad and I kind of bonded, because we were all about 6-7 years old when it first came out. And so I was just old enough to where I could actually kind of keep up on some of the controls, and Dad was still very much in the gaming and stuff. And so that was kind of that's how he and I kind of bonded, playing a lot of the games that came out. Some of them were really, really bad, but it was there. And then, Super Nintendo and even N64 and stuff, the controls got more difficult, and he kind of stopped playing so much. But yeah, but back then with the old the Tecmo Bowl and Double Dribble and Ring King and some of those other games, that was like I said, that's how he and I kind of bonded. We would get a big thing of Oreos and big old glasses of milk and sit there and play until we ran out.
That's pretty cool, man.
The Nintendo, definitely you can't replace the original Nintendo and the Super Nintendo when it comes to like nostalgia reasons. But I'll tell you why I picked the PlayStation 2 for what I think is probably, and I'll call it's obviously not the greatest console of all time, because obviously the Xbox One and the PlayStation 5 are a better system. But for its time, when the PlayStation 2 came out, that's when I think games started going from, kind of blocky looking and fake looking and stuff like that. And I think that's when games started to look decent, started to look good. And that's when we really got to see open world environments and stuff like that. I know we kind of seen some of that stuff with the original PlayStation, but I think when the PlayStation 2 come out, that's when we really started, seeing fluid environments and actually online gaming and stuff like that. I think when the PlayStation 2 came out, that was a new era for gaming, when that system came out.
That's when we started progressing as humans.
Yes. It's what I say. It was like going from the Bronze Age into whatever the next age is. But Matt, what do you think about when I say moving from the PlayStation or the original PlayStation to the PlayStation 2? Do you think that was a good, transition into different type of gaming, or what's your thoughts on that?
I remember when the PlayStation first came out, because it was like, I remember standing in line at KB toy stores to get it, and they had like 50, and I got like number 49. And I remember bringing it home, and I remember getting I think it was the WCW wrestling game and Crash Bandicoot. That was the first 2 games I got with it. And it looked really good. But when you go to PlayStation 2, and I think the PlayStation 2 is the biggest selling console of all time. And when you get to PlayStation 2, man, it was sharper. I mean, I love PlayStation 2. I fell in love with it. It was a really good system. But to me, as you go into PlayStation, as you start doing the evolution, games are going to get better. Everything starts getting sharper. Everything starts getting more animated, like with Nintendo Switch now. Everything just looks really good. I don't know how much more you can really top, because I think me and Daniel were talking about this a while back. You started out with VHS tapes, then you got to DVD, then you got to Blu-ray, now you're at 4K. What in the hell else are you going to do? What's the ceiling as far as gaming?
Got 8K too.
Do you have 8K?
Yeah. But Matt, that's interesting that you said that, because I've got a theory on that.
Yeah.
I think we've got about to the point to where, console gaming, it's probably coming to an end. I think going forward, it'll all be PC gaming. They may come out with another console, maybe 1 or 2 more, but eventually I think it's all going to be computer gaming. It's going to go kind of in that direction.
I stay on PC more than anything.
Yeah, and I'm fixing to build me one, because they're just better than consoles. You can't really come close to what a PC can do compared to a console. But and Daniel or whoever wants to chime in on this, I think the next evolution in gaming is going to be virtual reality when you come to the VR sets and stuff like that. So what do you guys think about that? Do you think it's going to leave console gaming and go into VR? What do you think?
I think that's one of the avenues that it's about to take. They've already got the MetaQuest and the MetaQuest 2. My youngest son already has
the 3.
one. Oh, they got a 3 now?
Yeah, they got a 3 out now.
Yeah, I just bought it. And
so that's what he was doing, a year ago when we got him the MetaQuest 2, and I tried it. It's that type of stuff has already passed me up. Like I'm already tell you, I wasn't able to bridge the gap from third person to first person shooters. Okay, so I'm back there, and then I'm sitting here and I'm trying to play this 3D game that he's got, and I'm trying to play putt. I mean, it took me an hour to play 9 holes of putt because I couldn't figure it out. It looked great, but it was just so weird to me. But yeah, I agree. That's at least one of the avenues that is going to be the future of gaming. And I kind of think I really don't know what PlayStation and Nintendo and everything else is going to do in the future, if it's really going towards PC, because I don't do any PC gaming. I tried to play I tried to play a couple of games on PC 20 years ago, back when you couldn't hardly do anything like that, or at least I could.
It's a lot better now.
And
as far as PC goes, used to it was like, now they have open world games. Like most of the games that you get on PlayStation or Xbox, whatever, you can get on the PC too. And so they're open world now. It ain't like what was the big game back then? Myst. I mean, back then, if you had Myst, this is going to take 3 years to play. Well, no shit, the graphics suck. You know, but now the graphics are great.
Yeah.
I mean, like most 20-year-olds that I know, they're all on computer. But now, like Brody's age, he's 12. He's about to be 13. He's all in on the virtual reality shit.
Yeah.
Like that's all he lives for. But I mean, he's got buddies on there that he talks to like they're right here. It's an avatar over there he's looking at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah,
almost like
yeah.
a second life kind of deal. Or I think it's like for us, we grew up with the Nintendo. You know, when we were in high school, Nintendo 64 and PlayStation 1 come out. You know what I'm saying? But there's still the old heads that the people that was 20 years old when the first Nintendo come out, they were stuck on that. You know, we were progressing then. Now we're stuck at a certain, like you said, you know, I can't progress to the virtual reality. Now they're the ones progressing it.
Yeah.
So I think it's all age related for the most part.
Well, and I do too, because I think it's like it goes back to that DVD Blu-ray thing. I mean, you're going to hit a top out, because how much more can Nintendo do with Mario? Because
Nothing. They've already, I mean, the Wii's done. Wii U, it was out for like a year and they closed up shop. All they got left is a Switch.
Yeah.
But what do you do? I mean, it's like, I mean, it's cool to see when you have Nintendo, then you get Super Nintendo, then you get N64, and you start evolutionizing that. Then PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3.
Well, I think so. I think Nintendo.
There's nothing else you can do.
I think Nintendo pushed themselves into a corner because you know everybody knows what regular Nintendo looked like. But then Super Nintendo was great. It was almost like being at the game room playing on arcade.
Right.
But then when they went to Nintendo 64, they wanted to keep it. They wanted better games like GoldenEye, but they kept it blocky looking. Like
Yeah.
the heads is all blocky, so they backed themselves into a corner. Then their competitor PlayStation come out and was like, "We ain't about this cartoon shit. We want like Resident Evil. That really looks like a zombie. That don't look like a big blockhead zombie, you know." So you know, all y'all had PlayStations. I was the loser, had Nintendo 64, thinking, "Well, I've got a better deal." Till I go to Corky's and play PlayStation. Like, man, it sucks.
Yeah,
Like,
I had a
Joe
Nintendo.
Montana's head's 3 times the size of his body, you know.
Well,
I had a Nintendo 64 for like 2 weeks, and then I took it back and switched it for a
yeah.
PlayStation. Yeah.
Well, you can say all you want to about 64. I had both. I had a 64 also. But Super Mario Kart 64 is one of the best Mario Karts on that. The only one that I like better
Super
was
Nintendo.
was Double Dash, and that was on the GameCube. The GameCube that had
Yeah, I
Super
forgot about
Mario.
GameCube.
Yeah, GameCube is a good system.
That was their answer to PlayStation 2.
Right.
Yeah.
See, here's what Nintendo's downfall is Nintendo, you know, they wanted, especially when it came to the Wii, when it came, and I guess the Wii was probably the answer to PlayStation 2, I'm guessing. But the Nintendo, they kept wanting to stay with a younger audience. And what they don't realize is everybody that's growing up, you know, especially with our generation, you know, we're the ones working and making the money to pay for this stuff. You know, these games need to evolve with the people that started playing games with them, you know. So that's what's hurt Nintendo, even with the Switch. I'm not saying the Switch isn't a good system, because it is, but it's still graphically nowhere near an Xbox One and a PlayStation 5.
I think the GameCube was it was between the PlayStation 2 and the 3. I think it was more trying to compete with the 3 or the Wii, not the GameCube. The GameCube was like PlayStation 2, and then the Wii was kind of an in between. And they were trying to change it, like, well, you really got to swing your hands to.
And that helped the Wii, because they had all these kiddie games, but that was different enough that they could, you know, done well with the Wii. But when, you know, that and the only thing that's keeping Nintendo alive now is the fact that they got Mario and Zelda, and they won't, you know, they've got the sole rights to those games. Nobody else can make them. If they didn't have Mario and Zelda, Nintendo will be back to making playing cards right now. I promise you that. Well,
the Switch is the only thing that's paying their bills right now. That Wii U looked great. I bought one for Brody, and it looked good, but they're still stuck on the same characters.
Exactly. They won't evolve. Yeah.
No, they won't change to anything any more adult driven. They want to keep the kids all
Yeah.
right there in together. And like
Gotta have a
Brody,
good mix, you know.
which Brody was big into Mario, like most kids, but now he's outgrown Mario. Well, he don't want nothing to do with Nintendo anymore.
Yeah.
And that's all they're
Well,
good for.
well, see, and Mario's fun. Don't get me wrong. I like to sit down right now and play Mario. It's a fun game, but
But it's only
and-
because it's nostalgic to you.
yeah, but and then there's other times I want to sit down and play Call of Duty or something else. And for a long time, you couldn't play Call of Duty on like the Wii because it just wasn't the same game everybody else was playing. It just graphically they could not run those games like everything else could.
Well,
Yeah,
see, I play a lot of PC games, but I can't play stuff like Call of Duty on there. Like everybody's, oh, it's so much better. You play Fortnite on the PC, you can kill everybody, you can build. No, not me. I can't build on the PlayStation.
You got to learn how to
build on
run
the
that
PC.
keyboard and mouse. Yeah, you got to learn how to run that keyboard and mouse. I was standing there last night watching Braden. He was in there. I mean, wearing some unforgiving game out. I forget what.
WSAND out on the keyboard.
Yeah, and I'm looking at him. I was like, bro, I don't see how you do that because I just can't move like he's just murdering people, man. But if that was me, I'd be sitting there running into a wall or something,
Yeah.
Hey, listen, now, Brody, this is a little bit off topic. Brody's been doing some homeschooling up in here.
Up in here.
Well, we noticed that he was typing something on there. I was like, damn, where'd you learn how to type? I don't know. So we put him on a little word thing, see how much he could type. Dude typed 91 words a minute
Heck yeah.
on his
that's what I'm
first
talking
run
about.
through with 100% accuracy. Like he didn't have to go back, do nothing. Like, how do you do that? Your ass ain't never seen a keyboard. You never had to write an email.
Well, shoot, they're just growed up around it, I guess, man.
Hell, I guess. I still can't type. I can't. You might be able to reverse it. I probably get 19 words a minute with these two fingers, that thumb and this finger.
Yeah, I know. Before we got on the podcast tonight, me and Daniel was trying to fool around with this program, and I was having to send him an email, man. He's like, bro, I never got the email. And I looked, and I like, how his name's got 2 L's in it. I put 3 I's in it instead of L's. And I'm like, okay, now I know why you didn't get the email.
I was sitting there looking at my inbox. I'm going, dude misspelled my name. I know he did.
He's from Inglewood.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this, man. I started thinking about this game thing when I said I think everything's eventually going to end up in virtual reality. A few years back, I worked at the jail. I was a corrections officer. Unless we were up doing rounds, we didn't have nothing to do, and we only had to do a round once an hour. So most of the time, we'd read books and stuff like that. So I was up in the jail library one day trying to find me something to read, and
Jail library.
Yeah, we actually had a library in there.
No kidding.
And
I got to read, bro.
I found me a book called Ready Player One. Didn't know nothing about it, but I sat down and I started reading that thing, and it was about these people that live in it's kind of in the future, and they put on a headset, and they basically everybody goes home, and that's where you live your life is inside of virtual reality. Then a few years ago, they came out with the movie to it, and I'm assuming most everybody's seen that, and part 2's coming out, and hey, they come out with part 2, the book part 2, and all of it's good. But what those movies and books are about is, in the future, that's what everything's going to do. You'll have some sort of life you live in the real world, but when you get home and it's time to relax and doing everything, instead of kicking back watching TV, you throw the headset on and you go into the oasis. That's what they call the virtual reality world. But Dusty, you hadn't chimed in a while. So what do you think, man? You think that's where we're headed toward? Because I do.
I think holodeck or we riot.
Dude, the holodeck is the ultimate end all. If we could ever get to the holodeck, we're done. But until we get to the holodeck, we're gonna have those headsets on, I'm afraid.
And get Barkley out of it. I figured you'd appreciate that. But no, I read somewhere that PlayStation, Nintendo are actually in talks to where what they're going to do instead of providing a console is you're going to actually have a subscription service like where you subscribe to, you download Paramount, or you download Peacock or whatever to your phone or to your TV. Be the same thing. You'd have a PlayStation or a Nintendo service where you can download, and then you'd have access to their online library, and you could play the games, and it would be so much per month or something like that, where you could do it that way. It'd be built in. It'd be an app you could download and register and be able to do it that way. But I would love, and I know Nintendo's talking about doing it because they've already started doing it with the Switch. But I would love for them to go back and reformat some of these old games. The only I love the N64 because of Mario Kart. But talking about GoldenEye, yeah, it was goofy looking. The graphics were terrible, but where you could do the search and destroy missions, where you could have 4 players and do the split screen, and sit there and do King of the Mountain or Survivor or whatever you want to call it. I cannot tell you how many nights, how many hours and hours. Myself and some other friends, we would sit there and play, and there'd be like 7 or 8 of us. So we would go, okay, you die 10 or 12 times, and you just kind of rotate out.
Right.
You eat pizza, talk to the girls, get a drink, and then the next person that dies 12 times, you're next up. Go back in line, and you start playing again. And as long as you didn't pick odd job, you were fine. If you picked odd job, we were going to beat you with soap and a sock.
Yeah, that reminds me of when Halo come out. We was all, where I worked, we would all meet at this dude's house. His name was Thomas. And we'd meet at his house, and everybody would bring their console, and we would wire those suckers together and have a big LAN party, man, because that was back before, you had internet gaming, and everybody had their own TV and their own Xbox, and we'd all wire them together, and we'd be all through his house playing a big LAN party, man. It was awesome. Those were good times.
I played a lot of GoldenEye.
I never did.
It was when I worked at Kmart, and there was an assistant manager there, and he was in his 40s then, but he was like a super gamer. Like, he was just like the rest of us 20-year-olds, And we would all go over to his house after we would close the store down, and we did kind of like what Dusty was talking about. We took turns. I think they might have been 6 or 8 of us that showed up. You could play 4 at a time. So we'd take turns, but we'd go down, and he had a little man cave, in his basement, and we'd hang out until, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And I always wondered, how is this dude still married? Because he was married back then, and he's not married no more.
Hey, was that Delaney? Was that his name?
Yes, it was Delaney.
I know Delaney, yeah.
Yeah,
he was I'll tell you a cool story, Daniel. I don't know if you remember this or not, but it's back when you worked at Kmart. You're the whole reason I got my PlayStation 2. I don't know if you remember, man, because you couldn't get a PlayStation 2.
That's what I was going to say, is that was the first system that you couldn't get. You couldn't just walk to the store and buy it. You had to be there at the right time, or you had to order it. But go ahead.
But I remember, I don't know, obviously you knew that I was wanting a PlayStation 2. And I remember I was at home one day, and you called me, and you was like, bro, we got 3 of them. And I said, really? And I don't know how I got the money to get a PlayStation 2, but I remember I said, I'll be there in a minute. And I went and got a PlayStation 2. You had hit it back for me or something like that. And that's the only reason I got it. But I never will remember you called me. You was like, bro, we've got 3 of them.
So I've got a PlayStation 2 story myself. And like I said, you couldn't just go and get a PlayStation 2. So you had to get lucky. You had to be at the right place at the right time, and you had to have the money on you. And I was already married to my first wife at that point, and I wasn't making no money. We were struggling to pay bills, and that thing cost like almost $300 or something, $299 when it come out. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to be at Kmart and seen one in the cabinet, and they only had the one. And this is, we didn't have cell phone back then, so I couldn't call the ex-wife and be like, hey, we need to discuss this. I went ahead and made a decision, and I bought it, and we almost missed the house payment on account of it. And
you got to get your priorities right, man.
Dude, man, I tell you what, that caused a rift in the marriage for a long time. That video game system, I'm not kidding. That was divorce.
You do what you got to do, man. That's how I feel about it.
But I mean, that's how it was back then. It was like the same way, with the PlayStation 5. PlayStation 5's already been out for what, 3 or 4 years now? And I just got one, a year and a half ago because you couldn't find them. And
That's why I started saying I still can't afford one of them, man.
But
it's because of those hard drives that they were running out of, and you couldn't. Something about the hard drive they had in them, so they just had a limited number here or something. And then whenever those tariffs hit from China, like all the hard drives were, instead of being like a $200 hard drive, it'd be like a $1,200 same damn piece of machinery.
Yeah,
They run those solid state hard drives, don't they?
I think so.
I don't know what my PS5 has, but I know that I've got 2 games for it, and the rest is what Dusty was talking about. I pay for a subscription service to all the old PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, and I can do them. The only thing about that is, Dusty, is my beef with that is if I'm going to pay a monthly or a yearly subscription to download the games, I want 100% of their content. I don't want to only be able to pick from 30 PS1 games and 15 or 20 PS2 games. I want the whole shooting match.
Yeah, just whatever they want to give you,
And
I
then
think
it's
it has to do with the company that made the individual games, though.
It might. I'm sure that there's legal, problems.
Because you got like Konami and people like that who makes, I don't know who the other companies are, but I'd say more of it is that, because in order, they would have to sell that game to PlayStation or whatever, so they could do that subscription, and then they're out of revenue forever.
Yeah. Well, and then the other drawback of that, the other part of that pisses me off, is that just as soon as I cancel my subscription, I don't have those games anymore. I keep
they're
playing.
gone. Yeah.
So, you keep your subscription for 10 years, and you've got hundreds of dollars after 10 years, and you can play, whatever they've got available. And then you cut your subscription because you're tired of constantly renting a game, and then you don't have it no more. And you've already spent hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, that's kind of like with Spotify and Apple Music. You can listen to what you want as long as you pay that monthly payment. But when it's gone, it's gone.
That's it.
I found a guy on Marketplace in 2016 that was selling Wii's that for $125, but he had every game from Nintendo, Super Nintendo, all the way through PlayStation 2 downloaded on it.
That's what my cousin has with it's the Nintendo Mini. Them that come out probably 2018 or 19.
Yeah, but they still only have so many.
Well, this old guy figured out a way to put everything on it. So you turn on that Nintendo Mini, okay? I said, well, I want to play Jackal. He goes, okay, pull up Jackal. And I knew that Nintendo Mini didn't have Jackal on it. And it pulled up a big screen with just a big old bunch of names of games. Yeah. And I selected Jackal and I played Jackal. And that was cool. That's the first time I played Jackal since I've been about, 13, 14 years old. Did the same with Super Spike V-Ball.
Oh, I got a game stick in there that's got everything up through, I think, PlayStation 1 on it. And it's got, I'm the same way. We'd be talking about something on here, and I'll be like, I'm going to go play that. I just go in there and cut it on and play it.
Sweet.
It works just like Go ahead.
Don't think sucks about that Wii. I had to get like the other remotes that plug, like the regular Nintendo, and then Super Nintendo was ones that plugs in or whatever, because you got to figure out which damn button does what.
So that's the other thing I was gonna say. I've got GoldenEye downloaded on the Switch right now. I can go play it, but I'm playing it on a Joy-Con, and it don't work. The control, you don't
have easy the controller was for the Nintendo 64. They can't map that anymore, man.
I got one that plugs into my computer and to that Wii. You can buy them.
You have to buy an actual 64 looking controller, because you can't get no generic and try to map the buttons because it just don't work right.
It's a 64 remote, but it's got an adapter on it, so it'll plug into whatever system or that you got your games downloaded to.
Well, they need to figure something out for the Switch, because I love GoldenEye and I have it, but I can't play it because I don't have a controller that'll control the people.
Look on Amazon. I think they make games for it too, or remotes for it too. That's where Briar buys all his stuff.
I found a couple. For games like for GoldenEye and that kind of stuff. I found them at what was it, Ross's or something like that. Ross, TJ Maxx, one of those places. They were like $14-15 a piece.
Yeah, buddy.
Huh.
And they look like the old N64 controller. They just don't have the joystick right there in the middle.
Yeah.
And then
So where's the analog then? How do you move? You use it on D-pad over on the side?
yeah, you have to use a D-pad. Actually, hang on a second. Let me go get it. I'd be wrong.
Well, while
that
he's
was-
going,
That
Go
was
ahead.
the whole thing with the Nintendo 64 controller, was that you had your analog stick right in the middle, and then your trigger, you actually had a trigger on the bottom of the controller.
yeah, I don't know what LSD the dude that created that controller was taking, but man, he was taking some, because that controller looks nothing like anything you've ever seen.
It was hard to get the hang of, but once you did, hell, you couldn't play nothing else. Like I never held this side where the analog stuff was, the D-pad. I held it in the middle like it was a half controller. Once you did that, hell, you couldn't go back to a PlayStation because you was back like this. You felt like you was naked. Your hands were so far apart.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was a crazy controller.
it was.
Yeah,
It was messed up.
Too much sake.
Did you find it there, Big Cat?
I did.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay,
it's
so
a Switch
so,
controller.
So your analog controller is still right there on the right, and you actually have your left analog controller up on the left.
Yeah, it's a Switch.
See, to me that looks like an Xbox controller.
That's the DS or the DS and Switch controller there. That's like a power something they call it.
But that'll let you play GoldenEye easy. It should though.
So and that is compatible with the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I've got it plugged in right now.
That's actually what I play my controller games on the PC with, is with one of those.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna have to check that out and see if I can't get it hooked up to my Switch, because I've been wanting to play my GoldenEye and I can't do it.
Oh yeah, you can buy those for the Switch. I didn't really know what you was talking about. Yeah, you can buy them controllers.
It's
All
just
day
a
long.
USB.
Yeah.
The Switch has got a couple of USB ports. It just plugs in there, and then it plugs in there. It looks like a phone charger.
Okay, so it's wireless. If you got a charger for it, or you change batteries?
No, it's wired in. It's wired, but it's a 10-foot cable.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
I
it's
was thinking it was wireless, and you had basically a dongle or something that you plugged in.
No, it's just a regular Type-C charger.
Okay, I'm with you.
Was in, but like I said, the ones we got like 10 or 12 foot cord, so it's plenty of room.
Well, I may if
Just the one.
now that I know that.
Yeah, buddy.
Okay. So what's the brands of these things? They're all third party, I know, but I mean, what's the
Whatever's
brand?
cheapest on Amazon. I think mine was $10.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
they-
there's
and
I got that. Goes into my
I
computer.
got there it is, son. Look at that.
that's it right there.
But that goes into my computer, and then I got the regular Nintendo one, and it goes in the computer too.
See, I've got the
Space.
I've got the Nintendo one. That it actually, if you slide the Joy-Cons out, you can slide those Nintendo Classic controllers into the sides of them.
Yeah.
And then that's what charges them. And then it's just a little button that you hit and you can take it out, and it's wireless and you can just play it. The only difference is I think that those controllers that I have, and they're just like they are the classic Nintendo controllers, but it seems to me like they're a little smaller, just a tad.
Yeah, that one's a lot smaller than, as far as what I remember. Because that other one, I'm pretty sure the other one was, hell, they was about as wide as a Frisbee, and this ain't nowhere near that big.
Yeah.
But I've got a Sega one, a Sega Genesis controller, and a Super Nintendo one over there too.
Well, I'm gonna
I
try
can
it
slide
out.
out.
Maybe over Christmas break, I'll be playing me some GoldenEye then.
The Briar found a way that you can. It's some kind of emulator you can do on the PC, and you can download whatever games you want. And then he hooked me up with them controllers there, and so that's what I was playing them on.
You know, what'd be
That's what I'm
cool is
talking
if they would release a version of GoldenEye that you could play online multiplayer. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool. That'd be really cool.
Oh yeah,
I'd
that'd
play
be
it.
awesome.
You know what I'm saying? But I got another cool story, and I guarantee you, none of you guys have ever played this game. But Daniel, you was talking about, you bought that PlayStation 2, and you got in a little trouble for buying it.
I got in big trouble for buying it. I didn't get a little trouble.
Well, listen, if I've ever got addicted to a game, it would have been this game, and I don't know why. But back when my kids were little, there was this game on the computer, and I became infatuated with playing online, but I lived out in the country where you could not get high-speed internet at that time because, we didn't have, Elon Musk's internet and all that good stuff. If you lived out in the country, you just didn't get internet unless it was dial-up. But I was always going to do what?
Or web TV.
Yeah, whatever.
Corky used to have that back in the day.
Yeah, I loved that web TV. But anyhow, you couldn't play online, but I wanted to play online. So I found about this game called Maple Story. Maybe you guys ever heard of Maple Story? No, nobody's ever heard of Maple Story. Well, it's basically like a Mario game, right? 2D side scroller, but it's an online multiplayer game, like big universe. So this game was, low graphic enough that you could actually play it online with dial-up internet. So me and all my buddies from work, I worked at Mastercraft back in those days. We all started playing Maple Story, man. And it was basically like you had a little guy, you're running across the stage like Mario, and you're fighting little enemies, and the enemies drop coins. You pick up coins. You could buy armor and everything you can do in like a Elder Scrolls game or something like that, but it was just 2D side scrolling like a Mario game. And dude, I got addicted to this game. I got addicted to this game so much that we went on vacation one time, and I didn't have a laptop. I had a big, clunky computer, like you had back in the early 2000s. And I was so addicted to this game, I packed up my big clunky computer and took it to vacation with us and put it in the hotel room. Was playing this game, while we were on vacation. And the bad part about it is, how in games you can buy coins and stuff like that, pad your wallet, to go buy stuff. Because in this game, if you want to go to another world, you had to buy tickets, blah, blah, blah. But you couldn't just go on. It didn't have an online store for you to buy coins. So I went to this like third-party website, and there was like, I guess, Chinese farms in China that would have people playing all day collecting coins, and you could buy like 1 million coins for $20, right? But it was so shady. You had to meet these guys on the game at a certain area, and they would come by in the game. That just like a drug deal, man. They would put you on some part of the game where nobody was at. They'd say, "Meet me here." Then you'd go there. They'd come by with their little guy and drop off your coins, and you had to pick them up real quick, or somebody else might get them. And that's
how you gonna find the black market in a video game?
I don't know, bro. Listen, when I tell you I got addicted to this game, I got addicted to this game, man. It was bad. I didn't do that just once. I've done it several times. I don't even know how you'd go online. It'd be like such and such coins for Maple Story. I'd pay for it, and then I'd get an email, "Meet me here at this time." Then you'd go to this one area of the game, and sure enough, here'd come a little guy out there, and he'd drop off a sack of coins, and you'd have to pick it up. Because,
like the FBI is watching all the screens for this guy to drop these coins.
What's sad is you kill an enemy, you get a coin. Now think about how long it would take you to get 1 million coins. Well, somewhere in China, they got people that it was their job to sit there and farm these coins all day. Then they would sell them for $20 to somebody like me that's sitting at the house eating Cheetos playing this video game.
We couldn't eat enough Cheetos to kill 1 million people.
Yeah. Do what?
Where do they find these coins?
In the game.
Like in just different parts of the game?
Well, any part of the game.
There it is, Corp.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. Hey, I've got it on my
gayest
computer.
cover
Is
I've
that-
ever seen in my life.
Is that a little girl in the snow?
It probably is.
She
I'm
wearing
sorry.
There's Corky sitting in the snow. What's going on?
a
Is that Brett Michaels?
You've got beautiful hair, Corky.
Yes, it was fun. You could get on there like if we were playing Maple Story, we could get on there. You'd have Travis, me, you. We could all, you couldn't talk to each other, but we could type, and it'd come above. Then you'd be like, let's go to the subway to train. We'd go to the subway, we'd kill all the little enemies, and you just level up. Whatever, man.
Brody come in here type for me.
That's it, right there. That's it. It's still playing. I didn't figure it still existed, but I logged
We
on
won't
to
see
it.
Corky for 6 months now that he's found that game.
I
You
can't do it now.
You remember that time? It was probably about 25 years ago, but you had me download that game called Tribes, Corky.
Oh yeah, the Tribes was online too. Yeah,
And I had dial up, and I didn't know crap about computers.
everybody had dial up at that time. Yeah,
And he was like, yeah, you gotta somehow, whatever it was, I got into the same game that he did. So here I'm just standing there. I can't figure out how to move. I can't figure out how to shoot nothing. And here he comes flying in, his little man. He's standing next to me. And then there's all these text boxes that pops up. Come on, man, let's go. And then he takes off running, and I'm like, I can't, dude. I don't know.
The character's
No,
typing in
such
Corky.
and such. And
you
then
was probably lagging, man.
well, I was pretty bad. And then all of a sudden, he just flies off and leaves me.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, Corky. I saw years of your life be wasted on Final Fantasy VII, bro.
Oh, well, listen, that's a good game, bro.
I went over there for like 3 summers in a row. Be like, hey man, what's going on? Let's play this game. He's like a fucking zombie, dude.
Dude, that's
Like,
the
if
only
you
game
ate
that I
this
would get
month-
off work at Food Line. I would go home, sit down, start playing it, and the next thing I know, the sun would be coming up.
I cannot play turn-based games. I can't
It's
play.
the only one
I
I've
like
ever
it
been, but I got addicted to that game too.
If
Hey,
I
I'll tell you what, Final
He's like
Fantasy
a crackhead.
7, when I bought that bitch, that thing was 4 disc long.
Yeah,
Bought it at Kmart.
I remember Matt had it, and he was always, man, I was walking next to this tree, and I seen this big snake that was stabbed against this tree, and Sephiroth was doing it. And I'm like, what the
Dude,
hell?
It was a Sephiroth.
So
Sephiroth
he's
was a
like, he'd
badass,
start
dude.
fighting something, and his man's standing there, and that thing shoots fireball at him, and it hits him. And then he shoots fireball at that thing, and he hits it, and I'm going, what the hell is this? I can't play turn-based games. Now,
Final Fantasy 7 is probably one. And I've played the other Final Fantasy games.
Final
but
Fantasy
there's not
10 was supposed to be
There's not a
good.
game in that library that can be compared to Part 7.
My daughter Emily had Final Fantasy 10. I think it was on PlayStation 2, but she got into playing that.
I heard it was good. Yeah,
The
I never
graphics on
played
it at the time, I was like, God, this is like watching a movie.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's the way it was with Final Fantasy VII. When they would do those cut scenes, I was like, that's it. That's the greatest graphics you could ever see right there. That's like a
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, and when Laura
we?
Croft,
You can name your characters. So I would like name the characters off of all of us.
I bet I was the big black guy, wasn't I?
I can't remember. I can't remember who you were.
man,
I
you
use
know,
names
back
like Turd Ferguson,
Yeah.
G, stuff like that. And now online, they're like, you can't use that name. Like, my name's Dick. No, you can't use that. What about Richard Cheese? Did I use that?
My name's really Dick. I mean, come on.
Turd
Nah,
Ferguson.
like in PlayStation 1, Travis was talking earlier about how, good the graphics was in comparison what Nintendo and Super Nintendo was. So I'm sitting there and you've got Lara Croft in Tomb Raider just walking through there, and you're like, look at that pixelated ass. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, see, like when
glob.
Super Nintendo come out, they were doing it right. They were trending in the right direction. Like, it wasn't all blocky and looking like they were.
Yeah,
It was almost like playing Sega Genesis,
yeah.
But then when they went to Nintendo 64, it got stupid looking. Like, it don't
Yeah,
matter
it-
how great the game is, like GoldenEye was one of the best games
Yeah.
ever, but
Well-
it looked gay.
And
Yeah,
they,
it looked
they
awful.
couldn't get the 3D right. So as soon as they went from 2D to 3D, then everything got, instead of being pixelated, now you're blocky.
Yeah, the body's
Yeah.
turned that way, and dude's head's like
Yeah.
still looking at
Yeah.
looking at the screen. Get your ass out of here, Pierce Bronson looking ass. Looked like Pierce Brosnan had a damn allergic reaction to shrimp or something.
Yeah, no doubt.
Swole up.
It did, man. I just seen a clip on YouTube of a guy with a pantyhose over his head.
I seen that.
shit.
Yeah, that's funny.
Nintendo 64 people.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, and he's got the cup in his hand like this, drinking it.
Yeah, he's walking like.
Like I used
Oh.
to think that San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, like, man, the graphics are great. Go back and try to play that game on regular Xbox. It's stupid too, dude.
Yeah.
Running through,
I
trying
just
to jump over.
I just played Resident Evil 1 on PS1. I just finished it like 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And you got into the cave once you left the house. You opened up this basically this area where you crawled down into this cave and everything's all green. And so then the game went from looking okay to now you're in a dark green cave with nothing but just pixelated greenness around. It looked like you're walking through the Matrix or something. You couldn't see anything. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm talking about.
Well, have you played any of the remake? Like they redone Resident Evil 4 and they redone Resident Evil.
Yeah, man,
Have you played any of those?
They got too hard. Like that Resident Evil 1, the remake on it,
Yeah.
the whole thing is way too hard. It's like you killed your zombie and you're still having to ration your ammo and you're still having to ration your health and everything, but it's not enough just to kill the zombie. See, now you got to go get a gas can and you got to burn the zombie, but there's only so much gas and so many matches, because if you don't burn the zombie after you kill it, then it comes back to life as a super zombie.
I hate
And
games that
runs
be
down
trying to
kids.
be too real.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
First world problems.
they got too hard. Like even with as cool as what the Resident Evil 2 updated version looks, on PS5 that everybody's raving about. I can't play it worth shit because it's too damn hard, man. It's like when in the old PS2 or the old Resident Evil 2 on PlayStation 1, I kind of knew where I stood. I kind of knew the controls. Yeah, it was tank control. You turn left, you turn right, and they kind of operate.
Buddy.
That's what I'm saying. It just kind of passed me up. I'm trying to play these new games now.
The reflexes ain't what they used to be.
They're too hard, man. I mean, even I go back and I play some of them old games. Me and Matt's talked about this. You played some of them old Castlevania games and old Mario games. I don't have the reflexes that I used to.
Listen, there's nothing makes me more suicidal than trying to play a regular Nintendo game. Like I remember I used to be able to beat Wizards and Warriors and Ikari Warriors, anything you think, Ghosts and Goblins, I beat them all. I can't get through the level 1 of fucking Contra now. Like
Contra's freaking hard though, man.
I used to beat that game. I got through the first level and went to the second one where you got to jump those little things and squat. Man, forget it. Like I almost threw that damn thing in the yard.
Now I did get to where I could beat Contra with just the 3 men.
Ain't no way.
Used to, it was you didn't have no other way. There wasn't like you couldn't go online and be like, what's the shortcut to beat this game? You had to figure it out. You put hours in.
Yeah.
And now I ain't got that kind of time, man. I know I'm gonna be dead in about 20 years. I don't want to spend 20 years trying to beat Contra.
I can beat Contra with the 30 men. You can on the Switch. I've downloaded Contra, and the code to 30 men actually works. The up, down, left, right.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it actually
Konami
works.
code.
And I can beat it with the 30 men like that. So I know that I'm better than dying, 30 times in the game. They can't kill me 50 times because all I've got's 30.
Yeah. Not me, man. I didn't even, I forgot all about the 30-man code. But as soon as I died on my third guy, I was like, I'll never play this shit again. I'm Contra,
son.
the hell with it. Real War was not that damn hard.
Well, listen, Contra was, it's one of the only games that were ever made that if you get hit one time, usually you get 3 hits and you're dead.
Yeah.
Contra's like, nope, one and done, buddy.
Contra was brutal.
And
It
Double
was.
Dragon, I hated Double Dragon, man. You'd be kicking the shit out of people, and then here comes this big Arnold Schwarzenegger looking dude walking up there, and you beat him down, and here comes 4 more. Like, there's 2 of us. Like,
Well, and then
who is this girl you're protecting?
And you sitting there and you're kicking somebody, and all of a sudden they scream at you. That's what it looks like on the Nintendo. You're sitting there beating the hell out of them, and then they're just like that. And then somebody comes in from behind.
That's their
kicks
war
you in the head.
face.
I had the game Genie, and I couldn't beat Double Dragon, and that was when I was 12 years old and was the greatest gamer ever.
I don't think I ever beat Double Dragon.
I
No.
couldn't. I made it to the last boss, the dude that comes out with the machine gun, and he killed me.
Do you remember Kung Fu?
Yeah.
The game.
Oh,
All right.
yeah.
It had 5 levels. I used to be able to beat that one guy all the way through. I can't get past the first damn level now.
I couldn't. Go ahead, Dusty. Go ahead, Dusty.
I was gonna say you're talking about games that super frustrating like Contra. The thing about Contra, and this is going to lead into what I was going to say with Contra, if you were playing against somebody, if you're playing with somebody, and you piss them off, they would just do it where they would just short you on the screen where you try to make a jump. They're like, nope, and you just plunge to
Level
your death.
3. Level 3 was horrible when you was jumping up that mountain.
Oh God, if you were out of sync with whoever you were playing with, you were ready to just like.
Yeah.
Now, there was a game called Bill Elliott's NASCAR Racing. It took me 3 months to beat Bill. Okay, I come in second place for 2 months. Finally beat him. Then after that, I couldn't be beat. Bill Elliott was just a little tread mark on my ass, buddy. I beat him all the time. I don't even want to try to play that game anymore. Like, I was so much better at playing games back then, and it took me 3 months. No way.
Yeah, I can't beat nothing in 3 months.
Most frustrating game was Ninja Gaiden. Because you had one life, it didn't matter. You could get all the way to the end, and if you died at the end, there wasn't a save. You started all the way back at the beginning again, no matter how far in the game you progressed.
God.
See,
Yeah, I
kids
spent
think they
many
got it
times.
so. Kids think they got it so hard now. The internet's out. The internet's slow. Dude, we were alcoholics at 11 because we couldn't beat this game on Nintendo.
Yeah, I'll always go back to the first Ninja Turtle game. That game still scars me to this day.
That underwater scene.
Yes.
Just talk about it. This is 50% Jack Daniels right now.
I'm gonna say
Yeah.
I'm gonna say the two.
That fucking Ninja Turtle game where you had to go through and get through the seaweed that would electrocute.
Yeah, that's all I had to say was
Damn.
Ninja Turtle. Everybody's having PTSD right now.
That game.
I need to call my therapist.
I'm gonna say
I don't think I've ever beat Ninja Turtles because that damn part.
We
I couldn't-
beat it on the game Genie at Daniel's house one night, and that
Mitchell.
was it.
Mitchell was
Cheaters.
playing whenever we beat it. Was because I had the game Genie and you and Corky and Mitchell was all up in my room, and Mitchell was the one that was playing at the time, and he was the one that ended up beating the game. But the 2 hardest Nintendo games that I ever played was the first Ninja Turtles and Ghost and Goblins. The Ghost and Goblins was brutal. I mean, it was so hard. And then you got to the end of it, and you finally beat the end guy. And then it pulled a Mario on you, and it was like, oh, our princess is, this is not even the real quest. Your real quest starts now. Then you have to play the game. Then you have to play the game again on mega hard mode. Like the first time you went through it wasn't hard enough, and I never did beat it.
No, I'd have had to track somebody down over that, man. That's
Princess
bullcrap.
ain't here. She's banging that dinosaur across town. You came to the wrong spot.
Yeah,
Missed again, buddy.
They did that. They did a Ghost and Goblins. I had downloaded on PS4 because they had redone it and made a new one. and you had 4 different difficulty levels, and there's no way in hell you're going to beat it on the hardest level. If you beat it on the hardest level, you have prayed to Satan himself.
Gave up your soul.
No way, because you get hit once, you're out, and you got to start all the fuck way back. And I'm like, there's no way. The game makers said that they made it that hard on purpose because of how the other 2 games were. They said they weren't ridiculously hard. And I think, Dan, did you download that?
I did, and I beat it on like the easiest mode or whatever.
What game is that?
It's Ghosts and Goblins.
Oh yeah.
Except it's the remake of Ghosts and Goblins. It's not the NES version.
It's a
And
badass.
so yeah, I died.
Has it got better
10,000 times.
graphics and stuff?
I got absolutely no satisfaction from beating that game. I died 10,000 times. It wasn't even fun no more. At that point, I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this until I get to the end. I had like infinite lives. It never gave me a game over. Yeah. And so I was just like, screw this. I'm just going to do it. And I've never played it again.
What was that?
The fun
What was that basketball game that Mitchell Dyke had on PlayStation 1? That Allen Iverson was a rookie.
Oh, Allen Iverson. Yeah.
For 14 hours straight. That's the only player he played, and he scored every damn goal that game.
That was NBA Live 98.
Oh, man, I could have killed myself. I could have killed Mitchell.
I never could play the basketball games. I never could play any of them. Even that somebody versus Bird.
Larry
Jordan versus Bird.
It was Jordan versus Bird. Was it?
I said Larry versus Bird.
What was the one where it was just 1-on-1?
Yeah, that was it. Jordan versus Bird.
And they would jump 15 feet up in the air, and they do a somersault, and they'd slam it, and you'd shoot a 3, and it's heating up. If you hit 3 of them.
Oh, that was NBA Jam.
Okay, NBA Jam. I'm talking.
Shoot, I played the crap out of that game because you could break the backboard and stuff like that.
If I was going to be good at a basketball game, that's going to be the only one that I was semi-decent at, and I sucked at it.
I've got that one on the regular Sega Genesis in there.
Yeah, I've got it on my Genesis. It's sitting here playing right now. Not that game.
The basketball games now is a lot easier to play than the one like Double Dribble. I mean, you hit that corner 3 shot every time. It don't matter if you hold the button, tap the button, it's going in if you got in that one spot.
Yeah.
And if you got somebody else knows how to do it, it's going to be a damn forever overtime game. But the games now are a lot easier.
The best damn sport, and I love Ken Griffey Jr. baseball will always have a special place in my heart because me and Dad, and you guys played against Dad.
They had that home run derby on it. It was fun.
Yeah.
That game will always be tops for me as far as nostalgia and sports. But the second sports game I ever fucking played was Super Spike V-Ball.
Hey,
that was the most competitive sports game. And you want to talk about being up in Daniel's room, hotter than hell, sweat dripping through your clothes.
That was the hell house, buddy.
Listen.
Yeah, buddy.
The one thing I remember about Daniel's room is it was always so hot up there, man.
You ain't get cold in that room.
Except in the winter.
You sleep.
In the wintertime, you can see damn breath in there.
It was cold in there, but it was just something that you got used to. Right?
We was making fun of some shit. We had to sleep in Amanda's room one night, and it was damn cold. Like your breath would like make shapes and shit as you're breathing out.
It's probably the demons in the room.
The spirit coming in our onions.
For some reason, we was making fun of somebody, and the name that kept coming up, we keep saying Jermaine.
Jermaine.
For some reason, that popped in my head today. I don't remember why the hell we kept saying that.
Jermaine.
Yeah. How you doing? My name's Jermaine.
We did that all night, and then ended up doing it for the better part of that whole year.
Yeah.
Hey, man, how's it going? My name's Jermaine.
It was to keep the demons away, man. It was cold. But now sometimes, if we were lucky, we could look outside and see old dude's wife out there on the street looking at us through binocular. We'd wave at her, and that bitch waved back.
Yeah, yeah. She'd go check to see if her husband's car was parked behind my house.
Yeah, she had eyes on us 24 hours a day, son.
Who was that?
That's what.
We can't name drop on air.
Yeah.
You
We
can't
ain't
name
trying
drop
to get sued up in here. Just know there was chicks watching us through the windows. And it wasn't even trying to watch us. We just be like, hey.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
well.
sitting there looking out. You remember Amanda's
'Cause
window, and you could look over and you could see the Burris's house.
Yeah.
as I
Matt,
cut
you
through
remember
street.
Burris's house sitting out there, and it went on that road that went into Dogland, and Anton's house is right there. Matt,
Who are you fucking talking to?
I'm talking to you, damn it.
I thought we weren't name dropping people. You start saying the Burrises.
Well, the Burris's are not in question here. Okay,
They weren't the ones with the binoculars, son.
in Amanda's room. When you go up to my sister Amanda's room, you could look out the window and you could see the Burris's house. Okay,
Yeah.
so on that road, on that little side road, that chick would come up from Dogland and she would park right there, kind of in between the Burris's and where Anton's house was. And she would sit there and look up because they had that embankment where the road was lower than what my yard was. And so you could sit there and she'd be watching like that. And you could wave. We started waving at her. She was waving back one night.
Jesus, man.
Yeah, because I lifted up. I was like,
that is. I don't think I've encountered that person.
because we was talking about something. He was like, yo, what if you look down there at that street light and you see Michael Myers standing down there and looked out there? I was like, who's this bitch with the binoculars? No, man, you just kidding. Like, I swear to God, man, there's a chick right there. She's waving at me. Waving at her.
I'll tell you who it is after we hop off the air, but
I don't think I ever saw her.
Yeah.
know
As
exactly who
Inglewood
I'm-
turns.
Yeah,
know
well,
exactly
let's wrap this up here in a minute. I got to know this.
Oh man, I can't believe we didn't tell everybody about that.
Oh shit, man! I didn't want to get in trouble. That was a scandal.
Well, yeah, but hell, that was 1994. What's the statute limitations on that?
Well, they're probably dead by now.
Oh no, they living.
So before we get off air here, everybody go around. What was your? We've already talked about favorite systems. What was the worst system, in your opinion?
Okay. Dusty, you go first.
Worst system I ever played
Yeah.
was Atari 2600.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
If you
bad.
if you never seen the remote was like this long. It had a joystick. It had fire buttons on the side. It had a keypad. Had something else on there, like a trackball or something on there. It was one of those, like, you were worried you're going to hit the wrong button and like open somebody's garage door.
Didn't they have a little knob at the top you would turn like this right
Yes.
here? Something like that? Yeah.
The controller that I'm thinking about had that knob that is kind of on
Yeah.
the upper left hand corner. Or
That
something.
sucker's horrible. Looked like a massager or something like that.
That's probably the worst one that I ever played.
All right, my worst system, and I'm gonna catch some slack here, but my worst system, I'm probably gonna have to say Nintendo 64.
Ooh,
Yep.
Really? Okay.
It'd be, yeah, that's no doubt Nintendo.
Is it okay? So is it because of the blocky graphics, or is it because of the controller? And
Well,
how
I'll
awkward-
say this. I'll say this. It ain't because of the blocky graphics, and it's not because of the controller, because you can get around all that stuff. But I'm gonna say probably because of the game library, man. Nintendo just didn't have enough games to keep me interested, because at that time, like I said, they were coming out with, you had the Mortal Kombats and nothing looked right on that system, man. Just nothing. Well, yeah, I guess it would be the blocky aspect of it, because nothing looked right,
Yeah, I'm with you. I can see that.
Blocky.
I think the N64 graphics, I think it chased a lot of Nintendo people, especially the ones that were getting older at that time, like we were.
Yeah.
I think it chased a lot of people to PlayStation because
You
that
bite
was
your tongue, sir. I was in my prime.
that was the last Nintendo system I remember that I had until I bought a Switch for the kids because I jumped to PlayStation after that because it was better graphics and easier, and the controller and the gameplay was easier.
And more games, man. Nintendo, they want to just keep holding on to Kirby and Mario and Zelda. And don't get me wrong, Zelda's a great game, but you
They wouldn't
can't
branch
base a
out.
whole system off. Yeah,
They
they
tried
just
to base
hold
it on it, but
kids too much.
grow. They're afraid
Yeah.
to grow away from it.
Yeah, they had their thing, and that's all they wanted to do was their thing. They didn't want to branch out.
The
Yeah,
worst
there's
system
only
I
so-
played would have to be the regular Atari. Just
it was
with
pretty
the
bad too.
the
It
little
was bad.
joystick and the button. When it
Yeah.
wasn't even on top of the joystick, it was over here on the corner.
Well, hell, I remember playing Defender 2, and I didn't know the difference between my little spaceship and what the alien was. Like it was horrible.
Yeah, some of those Atari games were horrible, man, because they would just spend all their money on artwork for the cartridge, and then
Well,
Yeah.
game.
And
What was
then-
it? What is 2-bit system? Is that what it was?
I don't know. I don't know how many
Yes,
bits
half a
it
bit.
was.
Somebody look
I
that
think-
up. I want to know.
I know Defender 2 was supposed to be one of their better games, and I was just like, this is god awful.
But you could look at an Atari game and look at the box artwork for the games, and you was like, man, this is going to be great when I get home. Then all you get there and it's just a dot on the screen.
You know what? You know what would have made Atari billionaires if they had Tetris, because all you needed was one button and a joystick.
Yeah,
If they would have come out with Tetris, there would have never been a Nintendo.
Oh yeah, man. Tetris would have fit right in with that system.
Oh yeah, you just needed one button and the joystick. They'd have never come out with another system.
Yeah,
Rumble on the goal line on that one, baby.
I see
Oh,
that.
yeah. Well, that Russian guy didn't have a job in that office where he made that game,
All right, what you got, Dusty?
2600 and the 7800 were both 8-bit.
No way.
No way.
They were 8-bit, really?
They were 8-bit.
Man,
Now the
just let-
NES was 8-bit, right?
Is it like 0.8 bit?
Yeah.
Got your
Man,
glasses on?
they just couldn't harness what the console could do then, could they? Because
I know.
I mean, Mario looked freaking
think
real.
what it
compared
was-
to that.
I think
Well,
what
but
it
they
was,
had.
I think it was just the processor. I really do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We don't really know what 8-bit means.
But
You-
they
maybe
had 50
it's
games.
power.
Maybe all their money went toward more games and not the system itself.
Well, they
Well,
may not have known how to program back then too. They were just discovering how to do it.
So back in between 77 and about 81 or 82, the video game industry almost went completely bankrupt. Whenever Tanimoto or whoever it was that developed Mario, whenever they come out with Mario, that's basically what saved video games. They were tanking bad because
Yeah,
of
but
what
hold
Corky
on,
was
hold on.
talking.
They, I think they stole Mario because I distinctly remember Mario's.
Well,
Fuck
he used to be Jump
was on-
Man.
Now he was on the Atari chasing a damn
You're right.
gorilla on Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember.
I mean, yeah.
I remember the original, not even Super Mario Brothers, but just the original Mario Brothers. And
Yeah,
it was Mario and Luigi, where they would you play it as a mini game now, or did,
right.
where the creatures would come out and you'd hit them and turn them over and kick them over.
That was a mini game on Mario 3. But
That was the original Mario Brothers. It wasn't even Super Mario Brothers.
so
Yeah.
he was called Jump Man at some point. Maybe he was Jump Man on Donkey Kong. But what I'm saying is goes back to what Corky was.
Mario Jumpman. Maybe we finally figured out what Mario's last name is.
It goes back to what Corky was talking about. They had these awesome covers on the game cartridges and all that, and they were making a bunch of games off of movies like E.T. E.T. was like voted the worst game ever or whatever.
Ever. Yeah.
So these people were buying these games and they sucked, and so everybody quit buying games, and the market for it started tanking. And so whenever Super Mario Brothers on Nintendo come out, they started putting more focus into quality instead of quantity. And so it started to bring out, or at least that's what the documentary that I watched, at least that's what it was talking about. Somewhere between 77 and about 81 or 82, the home video game system, that whole market was pretty much dead.
But now Atari was an American company and Nintendo was a Japanese company, right?
Yeah,
I think Atari was made in America.
I think so.
That's, well, I mean, they're the electronic masters. I think they just, hey, let's see what this thing can do. And then, like you said, they wanted quality instead of quantity, where Atari's like, hey, if we make 100 shitty games, we'll make money real fast. But you got somebody else over here in Japan somewhere that wants to get the best quality out of it and not just quantity.
Yeah.
I think that's what put them out. Because, you look at like Tank, you look at the cover, you're like, man, it's going to be awesome. And then you get on there, and gay ass game that a 5-year-old drew.
Yeah, it looks like garbage.
Yeah.
That's worse. That's got to be pretty close to the worst game ever.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, not to sound like a nerd, but, and I may be the only one. The one thing about modern games now that I kind of missed was being able to go and buy it from a store. But the instruction book,
No doubt.
it had the button control, the configurations. A lot of times they'd be like a little story, like this is why you're playing, and it to me it was like, okay, somebody actually went and created a backstory for freaking Kirby, like why he's going to do this.
Yeah,
we got tutorials now though.
Yeah.
Man, the Castlevania instruction booklets were awesome. Even the instruction booklet for Double Dragon was awesome.
Yeah,
I always bought my shit secondhand. I never had the instruction booklet.
No, man.
Travis, like games come with instruction booklets.
I stole mine.
I kept all my instruction booklets until Ricky would pee on them or something, and then they get ripped up and thrown away.
It's like Dusty said, hell, he's feral.
Yeah,
that dude was, man. He crazy.
Yeah. Well, you know what I miss about games today versus games yesterday? Is the boss battle. Games today just really don't have boss battles, man.
That's what I was gonna say. With as much as I love Hogwarts Legacy, with all it's open world, you got all these side quests going on. The graphics, this is a beautiful game, but there wasn't no boss battle. There was one boss at the end of the game, and that was it. And you didn't have no boss battles.
Yeah, they don't have the boss battles anymore, man. I miss those.
Yeah,
Daniel, what was your favorite console? Go ahead, Travis.
No, I was going to say I play games that really, it's like, Dusty said, everybody's got a backstory, stuff like that. The games I play on PC, they have no backstory. You've got one goal. We want to make the most amount of money. Like I've been playing this game called News Tower or something, and you got to hire reporters. You hire like people that they call them typesetters, and then they've got assemblers. You got to hire them, and then they do all that stuff themselves. You just hire them, you put the desk over there, and they do it.
You playing a game or running a company? Damn.
It's both. It's a video game. I mean, you own this news. Like the one of mine's called, like my news tower is called Shit Rag. Because it's the shit rag. But anyway, that's what it says on front of the building too. But you got to like cover all these stories and stuff. So it's just about money, basically. So yeah, like he said, games used to, somebody actually put work into it. Like, this is why you're killing all these people for no reason. There is actually a reason why you're killing them. The games now is just, look, here we are, get busy. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I never will forget when Elden Ring come out, man. There was all this hype about it. And you put the game in, you're like, okay, now what? Boom, you're dead. I mean,
we need to get Jack on here and just let him answer how it is that he's able to beat it 17 times in a day.
Dude, you know what? We talk a lot about Ninja Turtles, and this game, it doesn't give me the anxiety that Ninja Turtles gave me back in the day. But freaking Elden Rings. It is ridiculously hard. You know,
Jack
for
may
me,
have made it.
anyhow.
He may have made it in the 80s on the Nintendo.
He may have just a knack for that game, but for me, I mean, dude, I will sit in my, because you know I'm going to get. I'll always say, I mean, I'm gonna get the game graphically is beautiful, so I'm going to play it. 10 minutes in, I'm gonna throw my controller through the freaking wall, man. It's so dang hard. It's just it's pointless that it's so hard. It makes the game not fun because why?
Like I don't understand genetics. Jack and Briar they're 3 days less than a year apart. Okay, they're full-blooded brothers. Jack is I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna try to beat this game. He'll run into it. Briar will study the damn game, everything about it. He reads about the creator of the game for 6 months. He'll watch every YouTube walkthrough, and then he plays it and beats the hell out of it. Why is one so methodical and the other one's just like, hell with it, let's give it a try?
God, that's the same way. That's the same way with Jason Braden, man. Jason will run right into something head on, but Braden, he's going to sit down and study it for a minute.
Maybe it's the oldest.
Yeah.
And that's the difference.
Well, that's kind of the difference between the way that Brent and Emily are and the way Aiden is. Brent and Emily, they'll go into a game. Of course, they're not like super into video games anyway. They're just better than me.
You're an old has-been.
Yeah. They'll sit down and they'll play a game, not read nothing about it or whatever, and they'll get into it. Brent really likes the Red Dead Redemption. That's Brent's game. Okay?
Epic game, by the way. Epic.
He loves it, and that's what he plays, and he'll just run into it. Aiden, on the other hand, he does exactly what you're talking about, Travis. He'll study up on whatever it is, and it's got to be a game that interests him. He can't just do it within a game, but he'll study up on it. He'll read about the maker. He'll read about all of the backstories, and he watches all these YouTube videos on it and everything, and then he goes.
The gamer even got into gaming to begin with,
and then he plays his game and he beats it in about 5 seconds, and it's like, okay, yeah, you did your homework. So to me, it's just that's how.
Briar is the kid that we would have tried to kill in his sleep when we were 10 or 11, because he don't just pick one character from Mortal Kombat. All right, I'm gonna learn all this guy's moves. He knows every move from every guy that's ever been on Mortal Kombat, and whether he's played it or not, he still knows them all. Like, how the hell did you do that?
Well, that's the way.
I read about it in August 1994's edition. What?
That's the way playing Dusty at Street Fighter 2 used to be. It didn't matter. He'd sit there with these goofy ass sunglasses on that flipped up and down, right? And so if he's playing and he's got them flipped up, you're sitting there and you win one round. You don't win the whole thing. You win one round, okay? And that's if he lets you do it. And then he goes, now the glasses are coming down. And then he flips these stupid ass glasses down, and he gets 2 rounds on you in a row, scores perfect, you don't get a hit. And it's like, dude, I don't want to play.
Is he the one that would always get that? What was the guy that could do electricity? He was green.
Oh, that was Blanca.
Blanca.
Is he the guy that would get him and would always just shock you to death?
He could do anything with anybody. He was shooting fireballs out of his ass with Doll Sim. God forbid he gets Michael Bison or whoever that was.
I wasn't allowed to play with Ken or Roo. I was not allowed to play with Ken or Roo. Especially Ken. I'd whoop your ass with Ken. It was over.
Now, listen,
which one was Ken? Oh, yeah, that's the red
Ken
guy.
Was the dude in the red. Roo was
now, Briar was beating the shit out of everybody on Street Fighter 2 on the Switch this summer. And I was like, he's like, let's play, Dad. I was like, you ain't ready, man. You ain't ready,
You don't want this.
He's like, come on, I want all the smoke. I was like, all right. Well, I got to eat Honda, because you just got to have to know that it's a
slap people.
Oh yeah. So and this was the one where it was like hyper, so you could do that move and walk
and
toward
move.
him.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wore his ass out, son. He was like, "You got to get somebody else." I told you wasn't ready. That's the worst guy I know on that shit. That's the only guy I know on there. I was like, that's the worst character on there for me. And you need to go practice about another year and a half before you want some more. You're right.
As
Yeah, I
me and
remember
Bree played that.
Dusty, and I went over to his house, and it was the first time I played Street Fighter 2, and he got fucking Blanca and got me in the corner and just did that damn hand thing.
Started.
I just set my controller down and I said, I'll play the next round after you get done whooping my ass because I can't do nothing.
Blanca had 2 moves. He had electrocuting you and then whatever the hell that was. It wasn't even a punch. It was,
So I stopped playing.
Yeah.
I stopped playing with him. I got Chun Li. I might have got like a hit on him or something with Chun Li. I was just like, forget it. I quit. I never played it again with him.
I like that game, but I like Tekken Tag better. Y'all ever play Tekken Tag?
I
never
played
played
Tekken
Tekken
2.
game.
I played Tekken 2 over at Delaney's house. I didn't play Tekken Tag. You could use both players, right? You could use 2 players apiece.
Yeah, like if one of your guys was about to die or died, the other guy'd come in.
Yeah.
So you'd have to beat them both, you know. And of course, you had 2 guys too, but it was pretty fun. Me and my brother Johnny used to play the shit out of that game.
So I played Tekken 2, and that was the first one that I saw to where, and I couldn't do it. Delaney was the one that had to do it, but you could kick or punch or something, and they could catch your kick, and then they would end up, doing whatever. But just talking about that Street Fighter 2, I was Bison. Me and Bree was playing it back this past summer, and I figured out it's just one of the buttons. And I figured out how he could scoot across the screen real fast, and you just kind of hit him with the boot.
Yeah.
And I did. That's all I did. That's all I did was I just hit that button, and he goes.
Yeah.
Until she finally dies, and she got so pissed at me. She's like, "I'm not playing this no more." I say, "You got to do something." She says, "Here, you play this, and I'll play as him." I said, "Okay." And she says, "Now what button are you hitting?" I said, "I don't know. You figured it out." Well, she figured it out, and then she started kicking my ass.
Hey, now on my tombstone, I want that I have the high score on Street Fighter 2 in the city of Seattle. When Jack was sick, we was at the Ronald McDonald house, and the high score on there was like 18,500. I was down there playing it in front of Jack. I had 247,000. I was like, "Dude, just finish it. I'm done. It's been 2 hours. We got stuff to do. Like, I'm hungry. I got to take a dump, man. You just finish it out. Whatever you want to do." But I took a picture of it. I got the high score.
That's
They probably
awesome.
unplugged it to reset it or something.
Oh my Lord. Well, Daniel, you didn't tell us your worst system that you've ever hated.
No, I think it's either one of the Ataris that I played, probably the worst system for me. But when I'm looking at everything in general, aside from Atari and Atari 2600, just because they were the first ones, I never did like the handheld stuff. I never did like Game Boy.
Yeah,
I didn't like Game Boy
either,
Advance. I didn't like.
Now, Sega Game Gear was good. It had color.
Yeah.
I didn't have the Game Gear. I had a PSP.
I didn't
And-
either,
and
but I saw it. Some kid on a
No.
field trip had one. I played it for a while.
Them PSPs were pretty boss for their
The
time.
PSPs,
Oh, yeah.
as far as graphics wise, and because you could hold it, and it was almost like holding a controller, and then the screen was in the middle, and it was color, and the graphics were good. I liked it, but I just never was a handheld video game person, and so
There for a while, Sega Genesis almost put Nintendo out of business. I mean, they had the Sega Game Gear that was complete color, and that was 1991.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
full color. The games were awesome, and then all of a sudden they just like, well, let's just go tits up. I don't know if Nintendo bought them out or cut out the guys that was making the games for them or what.
I know on the Switch, a lot of the Sega stuff, they've got a Sega thing on the Switch now where you can play some of the old Sega games. That's where they got the Street Fighter 2 like Champions Edition, Hyper Champions Edition, and
I've got Golden Axe 1, 2, and 3, and Altered Beast in the living room right now on the Switch.
Yeah, they
And
must have done
all
some
of
kind
them
of deal,
are
man.
Well, of course they bought them now. You know, they have the rights to all their games now, but I don't know if they did. Maybe they bought them out in like the 95, 96, because hell, it was 1994. I was still playing the Sega Genesis.
Well, I had a Sega. Well, no, I take that back. My cousin had a Sega Genesis.
Yeah, me.
And-
I'm your cousin, asshole.
No, the other cousin. It was on the other side of the family. I'd go to
What
the
an
other side
asshole.
of the family, and I never did understand the 3-button deal. Like, you know,
Yeah.
a D-pad's a D-pad, but I was used to having an X, Y, and a B, and an A, and an R, and an L, and you had A, B, C, and it might have had an R and an L. I'm not real sure, but
No, it did, and see, that's what threw me off from the Super Nintendo. Is I was used to the 3-button system, which I never used to C. I don't know what the hell that was for. A and B, you played everything, but
Yeah, did C ever have a use? I don't think anybody ever used
none
that
of the
button.
games
Yeah.
that I played did.
it did in Mortal Kombat. Like I still remember the blood code, A B A C A B B. That's the blood code on Sega Genesis.
Yes, sir.
But it didn't have those triggers like the Super Nintendo did.
Yeah.
So whenever I'd play the Super Nintendo, that would throw me off. Like, you know, why the hell can't I turn right? Well, you're not hitting the trigger button. You know.
Yeah.
So I always look like an idiot, and I'd go back and forth between them.
Well, it goes with what you get used to playing too. It was really hard for me to go to a PS2 controller that had 2 analog sticks that you controlled with your thumbs when I was used to playing a PS1 controller, and the button configuration was the same. I just didn't have them 2 analog sticks, and it took me years to figure out how a damn analog stick worked on a controller.
Yeah. The best game to learn was Grand Theft Auto 3.
Yeah.
Dude, listen, I know when I say Navy, y'all think, oh, he's out here killing some bitch running around the desert. Listen, when we wasn't working, we were playing Grand Theft Auto 3, and we played it in pairs. Your partner, he watched the little mini map in the corner for you, and he'd tell you turn left, turn right. So you wouldn't have to look at the map. You could just look at cars, weave in and out. And if you died, then you passed it to him, and you were the map watcher. And then we'd switch to the next pair guy. That's all we did for 12 hours straight sometimes. Like after we did our weapons offload, we didn't have to build no more bombs, didn't have to do no shit like that. All we did was play PlayStation 2 all night.
PlayStation 2 was the greatest console.
That's what I'm saying, man. It's got my vote for greatest console. What do you think, Dusty?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've still got the PlayStation 2 I bought in '99, sitting in here in the living room, still hooked up.
And it was around forever.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they did the console, then they did the slim version, and I mean I've still got, like I said, this one's 25 years old. I bought it, I bought it a little before my oldest daughter was born, and yeah, I mean I've still got I'm gonna be a nerd here, and I figure I'll catch hell for it, but oh well. I mean, I've still got Yu-Gi-Oh! Duels to the Roses in there, and I've still
You're
got
fired.
I'm
I'm running you off the road next time I see you on the street.
That's fine. Is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I've still got the Madden 2005. Got Ray Lewis on the cover. It's still got all those. Yeah. PlayStation 2, I think, is still
NFL Blitz is the best game ever.
Yeah, that's a good game.
That's the only game where Lawrence Taylor has a broken rib. What do you want to do? Do you want to put him out the rest of the game, or you want to inject him with steroids? I'm injecting this dude. Get him in there, son.
I had NFL Blitz. I can't remember what year.
Cocaine and just loose.
I had it on the GameCube though.
Yeah, it was a good game right there. But PlayStation 2, when me and Ricky was garbage men in Etowah, we'd come across, sometimes you'd come across some jewels on top of the trash can. And there was one I come across, it was a PlayStation 2. And it,
somebody threw a PlayStation 2 away.
Oh yeah. Well, I plugged it up and it wouldn't open. Like the little tray wouldn't come out. So I took a butter knife, wedged it in there, forced it open. It got it back on track. Hell, there was a game in there and everything.
God,
I still got it.
Did it work once you forced it open?
Oh, yeah, because it was off track. What they'd done is they'd closed it too hard and it threw it off track. So when you hit the eject button, it wouldn't push it out.
Yeah.
And unless you put something in that little slot, you couldn't wedge it loose. You couldn't get your fingertips in there.
Right.
So I
Well.
took that butter knife. Hell, it was free. I didn't have nothing to lose. I took that butter knife and pulled on it real hard. And somehow it got it back on track. Hell, it works like a brand new one, except it's missing the door on the tray. But
Yeah, man.
still works.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
man. Good stuff.
Well, guys, I think it's about time to sign off for tonight. Awesome show, man. We get us talking about video games. We went for an hour and a half.
There we go, man. In video
There
games.
we go.
That's good.
Well, hey,
discussion.
Daniel, you brought us in. Take us out, baby.
Well, man, I think that we had a good podcast tonight, and we can't wait to do it again next week. We'll let you know what it is. See you. Bye.
Brought
See ya,
to you by
bye.
Bamboo Rub.
Yeah, they tuned in, it's the dude bass rolling deep. Mic check like that, fine, let's hit a beat. Voices flowing like the river, knowledge on the spree. Every episode and journey, come ride with me. Just hit play, it's a vibe, can't you see? The dude bass, we breaking it down. From the underground to the top of the town. Laughs and facts, intertwined, wearing the crown.